You're listening to Storage Nerds Podcast, where we unravel the best-kept secret of the real estate investing world, the storage industry. Join the grassroots guru in self-storage, Stacy Rossetti, in insightful discussions about finding, funding, and running these spaces, allowing you to yield the highest returns possible. Get your foot in the door on self-storage and discover how to properly purchase facilities, negotiate with sellers, and close the deal without worries. Start unpacking that investment wisdom with Stacy right now.
Can you still invest in real estate even if the market is so volatile? That's the question, right? Can you still invest in real estate even if the market is so volatile? All right. And, I think about that all the time, and I get asked that all the time as well, too. So I always think a lot of people are questioning this right now because the market is so crazy. Interest rates are going up, and, I love talking about the market. It's like one of my most favorite things. I love learning about the market, the real estate market. I've been really one of those people over the past 10 years that's been studying it. And, we got out of residential investing. Like we haven't invested in residential real estate since 2019. And the reason why, honestly, is just because, I got in 2010, 2011, when all those properties were just so cheap, and now like I can't fathom spending so much on a property. So, my residential real estate is like so expensive. So I kind of I'm just not into it. I'm blessed to have been put into the self-storage investing world, and it totally it just fits my personality, right? Because the truth is residential real estate is it's all about people that like to grind, and people that are about challenging, pushing themselves, and back in the day when I was getting started, I was okay with pushing myself but my personality, I'm sure a lot of y'all relate to this. My personality is really slow and steady wins the race. That's really what it is. That's why I love storage, because the truth is slow and steady wins the race. I had a coaching call today with one of my students, and he's just starting. He's just learning. And basically, he was like, I told him, I basically what I told him was, if you buy $1 million property, if you in the storage world, and you guys can tell me if you think anything different, right? But in the storage world, if you buy $1 million property, on average, you're going to make about $100,000 a year, and you're going to net $10,000, right? Your cash on cash return is really 10%. And, a lot of people think, you can buy a storage facility and make he thought he could make he was like, oh, I thought $100,000 is what you're going to make. And I said, it is. It's your gross income. It's not your net income. Your net income is a percentage of your gross income. And typically it's around 10%, right? So, a lot of people, they say, okay, I want to replace my income, my W-2 job, right? And if you're making $120,000 a year, you're going to have a lot of storage facilities in order to replace that, or you're going to have bigger facilities, obviously, right? Because you're going to calculate 10. Now, I say on average calculate 10% for your net return, for your cash on cash return, but you could make more. We have a facility right now that's making 17% cash on cash return. And then if you refi out, you can make even more. You can make a lot of money, so you want to keep that in mind. But typically, you guys tell me if anybody's a multifamily. He actually had rental properties, and he basically said, I bought a property for $100,000. And he said, I'm making $2,000 a month on it. And I said, okay, good. Now, what is your mortgage? He said, $900 a month. I said, and what is your, expenses? And he said, well, he's like, my property taxes are about, $400 a year. we're in Georgia, right? So we got like really low property. He says, my property taxes are $400. My insurance is around $400. He said, and then I'm spending probably like a couple $100 a month on this facility. And I said, well, if you add up like all of your expenses, I mean, essentially you have to minus your income, minus your mortgage, minus your expenses, including your vacancy discount, right? Because sometimes you're not full. And that's really your net. That's how much you're making. He said I net about $7,200 a year. And I said, well, think about that. If you have a $100,000 house and you're netting $7,200, your cash on cash return is less than 10%. So the rental properties, typically you make on average maybe 6 to 8%, maybe a little bit more, maybe 9%, maybe 10% on some of them, right? But typically 6 to 8%. When you say you get 10% cash on cash return for a rental property, a lot of people are like really excited about that, you know. And the multifamily industry, I mean, their net is like super low right now, maybe 4 to 6%. I know some funds right now that are offering like 6% interest, and you know, so you got to keep that in mind. You got to keep that in mind. And you know, storage, I feel like you can make really good money in storage, not only if you pay cash for it, but also if you can leverage other people's money, or you can leverage the bank's money. You have to start thinking about over the next couple of years, as the market changes, how are you going to be funding your deals and purchasing your deals, especially if the interest rates keep going up. And I'm seeing it happen in the marketplace right now. Savvy owners are asking for more interest on, you know, a higher interest rate, even on a private loan. Okay, so the question is, over the course of the next, you know, year to 2 years, you know, what is the market going to look like, and how are we going to be purchasing our facilities? And, you know, so that, and then how can we do that so we can still achieve that double-digit cash on cash return, and even higher if possible, right? We want 20% cash on cash. We want 15 to 20% cash on cash return. Or if we're going to a bank, we want even more money than that, right? So, you know, so that's the question. That's the question of the day. That's what I want to be talking about today. And I hope I just really kind of open your mind to how you can fund your deals over the next couple of years. You know, and maybe, and buy even more deals. The truth is that when you go to a bank and get financing, you are going to get over leveraged very, very quickly. Okay. Banks do not want you to have a lot of loans, especially from other banks, because they want to make sure that you have cash flow and that you can manage, you know, your businesses properly and you can pay them back. If a bank is going to tell you no after 1, 2, or 3 facilities, how can you still buy so many facilities? How can you, and especially over the course of the next couple of years when interest rates get higher, and all types of lenders and all types of owners are, you know, more conservative or savvier with their numbers, which is what we're seeing. I mean, essentially, I've just noticed it over the last couple of weeks since the interest rates went up. My private lenders are also, you know, saying, you know, rates are going up. Like, you know, a private lender does not want to have the same interest rate as a bank. I mean, they want to have a higher interest rate typically, right? Now, you'll find some private lenders that are like, oh yeah, no, I'll accept whatever the bank's accepting, I'll accept. And we shoot for that on all of our deals. But I've noticed over the last month or so that some owners that are open to creative deal structures are really asking for higher rates, or they're saying that, they're mentioning it, like the rates are going up. I want to make sure that, you know, whatever I get out of this deal is going to be compared to what, you know, compared to, or even better than what the banks are going to get. Because, you know, so I'm offering my money, so I should get a little bit more for that. What I'm talking about right now, if anybody's new and has not done a deal, I see a lot of newbies on here, is creative deal structuring. And I discussed this in the mastermind, in my mastermind, and I think I've discussed it a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. But essentially, I'm 100% privately funded. I've been 100% privately funded for 10 years. I've done $20 million in transactions, right? All with private money, private funding. And so I don't go to banks and get loans because I feel like banks are, it's too much work, and now sometimes you can get better deals, but the truth is just as long as you find a deal where you can afford the terms that you're going to be using, right? So when I'm going out and looking for deals, I know I have to look for a deal where I have a lot more spread because I know I'm going to have to pay a higher interest rate. Okay. So if as long as you keep that in mind when you go out and look for deals, then you can use private money. You can use private funding and private money. Okay. And I've been doing that now for 20 years. And, and I've worked with every type of lender out there. And I get a lot of deals owner finance to me, or we do creative deal structures on the buy side and the sell side. And, and I'm telling y'all that over the course of the next couple of years, you have to learn how to structure deals creatively. You have to learn how to structure deals creatively, okay? Because banks are going to be more and more conservative. A lot of banks are going to fall off, the planet. You're not going to ever hear about them again. And, and then you don't want to get yourself into all these loans, like these bridge loans and these ARMs and stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just too dangerous, too risky, right? But the truth of the matter is if you can get the owner to be the bank, then, you have so much less risk in the game, because essentially you're just going to get a fixed rate over the course of X amount of years. And that owner will just, basically what you're doing is you're borrowing the owner's equity in the deal. All right. That's what you're doing. You're borrowing owner's equity in the deal. And they're going to make money off of their equity. It's like you could go to a bank and get a HELOC, or you can go to the bank and you could get the equity from a bank loan, or you can just borrow it directly from the owner. And I just go directly to the owner. I don't go to banks. I convince the owners that they will make more money if they are the bank than if they just sold me the property cash. Okay. And so we're going to get into that today. We're going to get into how do you convince the owner to sell you the property and be the bank as well. I have one student, I don't know if he's on here. Let's see if he's on here. Yeah, Paul's on here. Good. Paul has already has almost 3 deals. The first, the first 3 offers that he's put in, he's put in quite a few offers in the last couple of weeks that he started, but he already has 3 owners that want to owner finance with him, and he literally just started a couple of weeks ago. He just started maybe a month or so ago, and learning how to do all this. And all he did was ask the owner if they would be interested in being the bank. I'm going to show you how we do this, and it works. Because the truth is that you never get anything unless you ask for it, right? I learned that a long time, because guess what? I had a coach, and his name was Paul, which is very ironic, right, Paul? And he told me, he said, Stacy, the way that the way that you become wealthy is you just ask people for money. You ask them if you could borrow their money. And so I really that's what I do. I ask people if they could borrow their money. And I do it on the private side, but I also do it on the owner side, the seller side as well, too. So again, I want to show you guys a couple of things that we've been doing internally to find owners, to ask owners if they would be interested in being the bank in the deal. And once you learn this, and actually the truth is that I learned this from another guy he wasn't a coach of mine, but it was another guy that was teaching, that I went to one of his like conferences or something, and he was teaching the 3 offer system. And I can't remember what his name was, but he was teaching, and it was on the residential side. And when he taught the 3 offer system to me, I just took it to heart. Right. Instead of giving one offer to yes, Chris McClatchy, that's it. Thank you, Renee. Instead of giving one offer, why not give 3 or 4 or 5 offers? I learned this on the residential side, how to make offers to sellers when I was like out looking for properties. And I would give them like 3 or 4 or 5 different offers. And then I'm taking this system and I'm applying it I applied it to all property, to every property out there. You don't just give one offer, you give 4 offers. Okay. So that's what we're going to do today is I'm going to go over the 4-offer system and hopefully just keep you aware of how you can make offers to owners and start making them think about how much money they could possibly make if they were the bank. So what I want to show you is something that we're doing internally with our virtual assistants and kind of how we're training our virtual assistants. So if for everybody that's here or anybody that's new, you guys, we have internally, I have almost 15 virtual assistants, and we have a company which is called Storage Nerds Acquisitions. And basically what we do is we find storage facilities for our students to purchase. And then so we're teaching all these VAs how to find properties, and they're doing a great job. We're finding facilities right and left of owners that want offers. We're giving offers every single week, and we are using what I call my magic letter, which is the offer letter that we use. And I'm not going to show you the offer letter because this is something that's only for students. All right. But I do want to show you the concept of owner financing and how we are getting all these owners to want to owner finance. And I think it will help everybody in the next couple of years, because I'm going to tell y'all, if you want to make it in the next couple of years, you've got to be more creative in your deal structures. Okay. So anyways, all right, good. So thank you all for being here. I know there's a lot of people here, and I appreciate you guys coming talking in the chat, introducing yourself. We got a whole bunch of people from Washington and Atlanta and Texas. And we've got all kinds of people from all Virginia's here, all kinds of people. So I appreciate you introducing yourself to me. And let me see here. Let me share my screen, and I'm going to get into the letter here. Let me see. This is an offer that we put in on a property, and I just wanted to show it to you guys and just kind of give you an idea of kind of how we look at our numbers. Okay, so this property, this was a storage facility, and I'm not 100% sure which property it was or anything like that. I can't remember because we have too many properties. I can't keep anything in my mind anymore. But essentially, the purchase price was around $1 million. So we ran the numbers and we came up with a purchase price, a cash offer of $1 million. And so what we do is we create like a little kind of a table that you can see here. All my students are doing this. And we basically have a cash offer, and then we have 3 owner finance offers. And honestly, the truth is that you can come up with any type of structure any kind of like numbers for this. There's a million different ways that you can run these numbers right here. But just know in owner financing, that you're going to need these things on the left. You're going to need your purchase price, the monthly payment, the interest rate, the terms of the loan, the down payment, the total interest to the owner, right? And then the net amount to the owner. Okay. And as you can see, we have $1 million, $1,050,000, and $1.1 million for this property. And we offered an interest rate of 3%, 3.2%, and 3.5%. We did it on this one. We did a 10-year loan amortized over 20 years. We have a down payment of $200, $210, and $220. Notice that the larger down payment goes with the lower interest rate. All right. So you don't want to put like a higher interest rate with a higher down payment. You want to put it's just like a bank, exactly like a bank. The more money that you put down, the lower your interest rate is going to be. Okay. And so you just want to keep that in mind. Now you can see from $1 million, the total interest is $225,000, right? So total payment. And so this interest is actually going to go to the owner over the course of 10 years, right? So this is a 10-year loan amortized over 20 years. When I say amortized over 20 years, all that really does is just make your makes your mortgage payment smaller. So you can see that the owner is going to get $225,000 more just by owner financing the deal, right? So we can pay him he can get $1,000 cash if he wants, or if he owner finances it for 10 years, he can make around $1.2 million. And as you can see, we try to work out the numbers where we don't have to put that much money down. Okay, so we try to stick to around 20% or less. Now, sometimes owners want more. We're working with one right now where he wants $1.5 million with $500,000 down. But actually what we're doing is we're going to come up with an amount he's going to owe. We're going to owe him $1.5 million, including and with the interest included, right? So we're actually going to offer him $1.3 million and then figure it out so that over 10 years, he makes $1.5 million, right? So when you start thinking about owner financing and putting numbers together, first of all, you always have to think about these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things, right? The purchase price, monthly payment, interest rate, terms of loan, down payment, interest, and net amount to owner. All right. So you really want to consider. Now, a lot of times they don't give you the purchase price. So we're running the numbers to come up with the purchase price. So that's why we have three different purchase prices here. But if we pay less, on the purchase price, we typically give a higher interest rate, right? And then we also give a lower down payment, right? A higher interest rate and a lower down payment. If we pay more, then we're shooting for a lower interest rate and a little bit more down payment, right? So, and you could run the numbers any way that you want and just come up with any numbers. The key is to make sure this number, this monthly payment, is affordable. That's the key. Can you afford this monthly payment every single month? And let me see. What if an owner has existing loan on the property in the bank? So good question. Thank you for that. You could totally do this if there's a mortgage on the property. Okay, it's called a wrap. So I know everybody's heard of a wrap, right? But to do a wrap, you have to learn. It's basically just like a mortgage wrapped around a mortgage. So a mortgage wrapped around a mortgage. So we have a facility. So one of our VAs found a property that we put an offer on. Actually, we found a property that we talked to the owner, and it's actually a strip mall with a storage facility behind it. All right. And so we talked to the owner, and on the phone, when we asked the owner, would you be open to owner financing? He said, yes. He said, yeah, I'll be open. Send me over an offer and I'll take a look at it. So he was open from the beginning. So we didn't really have to even convince him, right? But so when we look at this facility, right, what he told us is that he owes $300,000 to the reason he's open to it is because he's already getting the property owner financed to him. So the owner of the previous owner financed it to him. He's almost paid off. I think it's like 200,000 or 300,000. I can't remember how much it is paid off. And so he said either you have to give me a down payment to pay off the rest of the mortgage, right? Whatever he owes, the 200 or 300,000, or we have to work out some sort of a scenario where you're going to be paying the owner the down payment or for the rest of the mortgage, which is basically called a wrap anyways. And so even owners, you can do wraps even on storage facilities. Any property, you can do a wrap, just as long as you learn how to do that, okay? So those are called wraps. And there's a lot of different ways that you can creatively do that. And so for that one, what happened on that one is we gave him an offer of, I think it's like such a good deal. Oh my gosh. It's worth like $2.5 million, but he only wants $1 million. That's it. It's like crazy. That's why I like talking to owners directly, honestly. Because the reason we know it's worth $2.5 million, because there's another one that's for sale right now for like $2.5 million, which I think is too high, but at least we know that kind of gives us a ball ground of what it could be worth. The realtor probably, probably put the price on it or whatever for the one that's listed. But we went directly to the owner. He's going to sell it to us for $1 million, and he's going to owner finance it to us. And we're going to the down payment, what we just decided was the down payment was going to pay off his mortgage. So he's going to owe like $200,000 or $220,000. We're going to just pay that off. And then over the course of the next 10 years, he'll just get a payment every single month from my student that's going to be picking up the thing. So she's going to have to come up with $200,000 down, and then she'll have a 10-year loan paid to the owner. And he actually bought that thing for, I think maybe 5 years ago for for $400,000. So he's going to make like $600,000 on it, plus the interest of the loan, which is actually a very good deal. And he's very happy, and so is the student. Okay, so so you can definitely do wraps. All right, and you don't hear a lot about it, but it's totally doable. Okay. Glenn asked me if we could pay off the balance of the loan in 10 years. Yes, that's what you do. So a balloon. So we'll go back to that sheet. Very good question. Thank you for that. So this is a 10-year balloon amortized over 20 years. So in 10 years, you have to refi it out and pay it off to the owner. So whatever you have left is what you're going to pay it out. Now, we don't put the amortization schedule like into the letter or anything like that, right? But you typically have, like, when you come up with owner financing, when you work with an owner and they do owner financing, the attorney or the title company will put an amortization schedule into the closing documents. And so then they'll have you sign it, like, okay, this is, in 10 years, you're going to owe this much money or whatever. All right, just so everybody knows. But essentially, yes, in 10 years, we would have to refi this out. Now, the truth is that if you go and get a loan from like a bank, it's the same thing. Typically, they're going to have 5 or 10 or 15-year balloons for commercial loans. If you go to a small local bank, you could probably get a 20-year loan on a commercial property. But most commercial lenders are going to be 5, 10, or 15 years. On average, typically I see loans that are 10-year balloons. And the reason they do that is because they want you to refi back with them and pay all the money that it costs to refi. So it's really just a way for them to make more money, honestly. So then your job is to either, pay it off in 10 years or refi it with the same bank in 10 years, or go and find somebody else to refi it out, right? Or sell it, right? Right. That's kind of what you do. And it's the same concept with owner financing. In 10 years, you're going to just sell it or refi out. And a lot of times I'm just calculating like exit strategy. All right. Because the truth is, honestly, you make a lot more money buying, holding, and selling than buy. Now, this is my personal opinion, right? But you make a lot more money flipping properties than you do holding on to properties. Okay. Because if you think about the value of that alone, right? And we show this in our deal analyzer for our students. But like, if you buy something for $1 million and you pay 5% interest over 10 years or 20 years, you're paying X amount of dollars, right? But if you're buying it, value adding it, and then selling it in 5 years, you can really kind of like make more money by flipping those properties, if that makes sense. Anyways, but so your exit strategies in 10 years are to either refi out with the same, now you would not be able to refi out with the owner, but honestly, you know what? I've had owners, like I have one right now that I had a 5-year balloon on. I went to my lender and I was like, actually he came to me, he's like, your 5 years is up. Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, we were going to sell it. He's like, you don't really have to sell it if you don't want to. If you want me to just hold on to it, I'll just keep holding on to it. And I was like, yeah. So we're in the process of like adding another 3 years to the loan. And private lenders and owners, once they start getting that monthly payment every single month, they really just like getting that monthly payment. And so they're open to even having a longer time. So first of all, when you offer owner financing the first time, they're going to be like 10 years. Wow, that's a long time. Like, who knows what's going to happen in 10 years, right? But the truth is like when you hit that 10-year mark, they're like, if you want to, we'll just go on to the next 20 years and do it again for the next 10 years because they're just really getting a monthly check every single month. And a lot of owners, I've noticed that too. A lot of the owners and a lot of the lenders, they don't want it. They don't want you to give their money back. They just don't. Okay. So anyways, let's go back to our sheet and take a look at this. Yeah. So again, so I just wanted to point out like, when you start running the numbers, this is really how you're going to calculate your offer. But really, the key to calculating the offer is not coming up with an offer, right? It's making sure that you can afford the numbers that you offer. Okay, so that's why I wanted to show you this sheet right here. But I have this one, which I thought was really good. Actually, one of my VAs came up with this, and I just love this so much because I didn't even ask her to do it. She just came up with this. Because essentially what I was telling them was we need to make sure that the monthly payment plus the expenses is less than, the income that they're making, and has some cash flow, if that makes sense. Okay, the monthly expenses plus the income, all right, is less than the mortgage and has some cash flow. And that's really kind of what we're looking at. Now, obviously, you can have like a whole calculator to look at this, and and we're actually in the process for all my students that are listening right now. We're in the process of adding a tab to our deal analyzer that's going to calculate this, right? So typically up till now, we've been kind of doing it separately, but my financial model person is really adding the owner financing calculator plus this cash flow calculation to the tab. And we should have that probably, I would say, definitely this week. If not this week, then early next week. Okay, because we're working on it right now. So I'm really excited to offer that to all the students. But for now, for everybody else, just take a look at this and take a look at, now, if you know our deal analyzer, right? If you look at our deal analyzer and what we offer to the students, essentially we're looking at like the current, right, as is, numbers, and then we're looking at value add. All right. So when we increase the rates to where they should be and do all the things that we want to do after, what we call after updates, what are going to be what's the difference in the cash flow? Okay. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. And and I tell everybody, I tell all my virtual assistants, like $1 million or less, they should really be netting $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And $1 million to $2 million should be netting like $2,000 to $3,000, $2,000 to $3,000 a month net, net. Right. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. That's kind of how we look at it in ourselves, right? Which is really just like, 10% cash on cash return, something like this. Okay. 10 to 15% cash on cash return would be great. All right. Would be awesome. And if you could do better, you could do better. So we have the owner financing. So these are the 3 offers. And I don't know if this is the same offer or not. They need a different offer. I'm not sure. But essentially, you can see we have the 3 offers: owner financing 1, 2, 3. We have the gross monthly income, right, minus the operating expenses equals this. This is on a monthly basis. All right. And then you minus the mortgage, which is the number that we came up with on our table. And then after that, this is the cash flow number. Okay. So you have the mortgage minus the expenses is the NOI you have the monthly income minus the expenses in the NOI minus the mortgage is your cash flow. Okay. And so you'll take everything from the other sheet, and you'll make sure that there is a net, like there's a cash flow. Now on mismanaged facilities, right? There's, you might have to come out of pocket. I was talking with Paul about this. Like, you might be coming out of pocket. So the question is, how much are you going to be coming out of pocket? All right. But, so this number here that you guys are all looking at, I mean, this is really kind of your decision on what you want to be cash flowing. So for me personally, we buy mismanaged facilities that are typically not cash flowing. And we'll buy a couple of those at a time. And then my husband will be like, you need to go find something that's cash flowing because I need some money because I'm coming out of pocket every single month. And I hate that, right? Because he's the manager, right? So he wants money every single month for his operating expenses. All right. But I know that mismanaged facilities, essentially, you can make triple the value of what you put the money, pay for it, right? So that's why I like mismanaged facilities so much. But anyway, so what we'll do is we'll go out and buy an income producing property to offset, this. So we'll make sure that we at least have some income coming in. So anyway, so this is the cash flow. And then you'll look at the current and you'll say, okay, like I know as is right now, if I do nothing but just buy this thing, I'm netting $1,100 a month or $1,000 a month, or if this offer, I made $924 a month. And then once I buy the thing and I increase and I do all the value add that I want to do to it, I'm going to be netting this, this, and this, right? And obviously, if you look at this deal, that's a fantastic deal, right? Really, because this deal, all you have to do is just increase the rates, and then you're netting this cash flow, right? So obviously this owner was losing a lot of money on the table. But I just wanted to make sure that you kind of knew this is the purpose of owner financing, right? Is to get the owner to be the bank, but also at the same time, make sure that you're cash flowing on the back end, right? And so there's a lot of spread here in this deal, from doing really nothing to the deal and holding on to it by value adding the property. And even if we just value added it 50% and not really all the way up to what this was, we'd still be netting, several $1,000s a month on the deal, right? So this is the key to trying to decide whether or not your numbers on the other page are good. And the other page is the one that I just, I deleted. So let me see if I can find it one more time. I accidentally X'd out of it. Here it is. Okay, good. All right. Let me share my screen and go back to that one. Yeah. So this one. All right. So this is the number that it came from, right? So this is the mortgage plus expenses. All right. And then, and then you calculate what your cash flow is from that. Okay. And like I said, so what you'll do is you'll run the numbers and you're like, oh gosh, no, I need to make more money than that. So then you have to say, okay, well, here's where I'm going to, decrease my down payment and my interest, or I need to do a 20-year loan, or my purchase price is too high, or what can I do in these terms to make sure that I can do this, that I can net this, I can net whatever it is that I want to net for cash flow. Okay. All right, that's really how it works. Any questions on that? I got a couple questions actually. AFTE is supposed to be after, it's after updates. You just forgot an R, okay? And let's see what else. Any other questions that I'm missing? What's that property cash flowing a month? That's the one that I just showed you. That's this right here. So before, this is current as is, right? And this is going to be after updates, right? Once we increase the mortgage. And I can't remember which facility this is or where it's at or whatever. I think this is in Wisconsin, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. So we put an offer in and we'll, now I think we're waiting back on it. Okay. Okay, good. What else? Let me see. What's it cash flowing? When you say cash, is that actual cash or private money? Are you talking about right here on this? So this is cash. This is our cash offer, right? This is our offer. And this is our offer of like, we can go and pay this now, whatever it is. Now, actually cash, this could really be like, going to a bank. Some people we put an off. We have a facility under contract right now where we did $1 million cash, and then we did $1 million owner financing offers and ran numbers where he's going to make like $1.3 million or 1.2.5 or 3, just like this kind of, right? And he was like, no, I'll just take the cash. Well, for cash for us is essentially we're going to go to a bank and get a loan. Right. So it's just really, he just wants his money now. He doesn't want to be the bank. All right. That's really what it means. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay, good. If you're extending a private loan, are you breaking down the balloon over the extension period? If you're extending a private loan, are you breaking down the balloon over the extension period? So essentially, we had like a 5-year balloon on a property that we own right now, and that balloon is up now. So essentially, the money that we owe, we're refinancing again. So whatever that number is, we're taking that number at the end of the 5-year term, and we're refinancing it. Okay. So it's not like, I guess you're not really extending the balloon. You're redoing the whole loan again is what you're doing. And you're coming up with brand new terms for that entire loan. All right. And it could be totally different terms because it really depends on where the loan is, where the interest rate is and how much money you can put down and this kind of stuff. So it's really a brand new loan. At the end of a balloon, you will need to do a brand new loan, if that makes sense. Okay. Can you purchase can you purchase the online course now and still in September join Coach Berg? Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I appreciate you asking that. Thank you so much. So the course is called Super Simple Self-Storage, and you can go to stacyrossetti.com, right, to check that out. And then the coaching program does not open until September. It actually opens like August 30th or something like this, but be ready then, and you can always join. A lot of people have bought the course and then they join the coaching program after that. Okay. Okay, good. Any other questions? Any other thoughts about owner financing? I want to make sure that you guys understand this concept and you utilize this concept, because we are putting our 4 offers out on every single deal. The rules, every deal, we put the offers out, and we're getting so many offers. We're getting so many. And anybody that uses it, I call the magic letter. And really, the whole purpose of it is just to get the owner thinking, right? Wow, if I was actually the bank, I could make this much money, right? And then the second reason you want to do this is because going to a bank and getting 1, 2, or 3 loans, depending on that purchase price, just over leverages you. And you don't want to be over leveraged, especially over the next couple of years when the market starts to cool. And it will cool, all right? It will cool. Nobody knows how or how much or whatever, but I say also, I've been telling my students, run your numbers at higher cap rates. Don't buy it at lower cap rates, because I think the market's going to cool and the cap rates will go back to normal pretty soon as well too. Oh, good, Luther. Okay, Luther says he got his first storage facility under contract without the offer. We have a lot of students that have gotten facilities under contract. One of them is buying a facility. Jennifer is buying a facility right now under getting it over owner financed. We have a lot of students that are buying deals owner finance right now. And I'm telling you, by using this table and showing the owners the numbers, that's one of the steps. And then the second step to owner financing is really connecting with the owner, listening to the owner, and hearing what they want and putting it and negotiating with them to create a win-win situation. Okay, so it's not just put an offer in and this is it and that's that. This is like, and on our owner finance letters, we say, like, essentially, these are just a couple of suggestions. Like, we're open to any type of terms that you want. Just know that, you can make a lot more money on this deal if you owner financed it. Or sometimes, like when the owner wants $1.8 million, like I just met some students earlier, and the owner wants $1.8 million. It's really only worth $1.6 million. All right. But he can totally make $1.8 million. He can make even more, because let's just think about this. If you went to a bank and got a loan for $1.6 million, how much money would you pay that bank over 10 years? A lot of money. All right. So why not pay that to the owner, right? Especially if they're free and clear, or if they have a very small mortgage that needs to be paid off. Right? So you can come up with $200,000-$300,000 for a down payment, and then you can owner finance the rest. And over time, they don't make $1.8 million, they make $2 million. So it's even $200,000 more than what they were thinking that they could make. All right. And that's what you want to show the owners. That's really the purpose of owner financing. All right. And I'm telling you, it works, because I'm seeing students left and right do it. Okay. Yes, exactly. And Paul says a lot of owners, and that's the one thing I love about storage facility owners. Like, I've talked to a lot of different types of owners, and storage facility owners, they're like so open to creative deal structures. They really are. They do it a lot, but they don't realize that's what they're doing. Right? They're doing creative structuring and stuff too. Because you see owners that are like, you got a car wash and an RV park, and you got a storage facility and a strip mall, and they're open to, making money in different types of ways. And when you see that, and you see that in an owner, you have to, especially on those types, you have to ask them, because they're just open to it. Okay. All right, I'm going to jump off now, and I'm going to go to my pitch for my fund, which is the Self-Storage Fund of America. It's a 506c fund. So if you're interested in passive investing, right? You say, Stacy, you do all the work, and I'll just make the money. That is what the fund is for. Okay, so if you're interested in that, just go to stacyrossetti.com/fund. And I always pitch that right after this session. So I'm going to hop off here and go in there. And for everybody else, please come to the Monday night sessions. All right. I'm here every single Monday night. I teach something different every Monday night. This becomes a podcast, Storage Nerds, the podcast. So if you miss it, you can listen there. And then you can also buy the course, which is called Super Simple Self-Storage. And you can find that at stacyrossetti.com. Okay. All right. I appreciate everything, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Storage Nerds. Hope this informative conversation inspired you to go out there and jump into this highly profitable business venture that people rarely talk about. Get more tips on storage space investing at www.stacyrossetti.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let's build that thriving passive income one storage space at a time. Until next time.